Do we have any questions that haven't yet? I know that you've been asking a couple questions, and I like that, but if you reserve some.
I know you talked about the new members being able to use their icebreaker in either format, and they can do so, they can register it after the speeches are completed. Is there like a time frame that's...
The time frame is once they have registered their path, once they've chosen their path.
But so they could do it today, or could they have done it a month ago, or is there any sort of cutoff?
Procrastinator.
We used to have several new members. I think it's
You picked up on that very well, Peter. No, I actually had the question given to me, and I called TI to make sure that I had the right answer, and they did tell me that working with the VP of Education, as long as the VP of Education is okay with this, they can deliver their Pathfinder, or their icebreaker rather, under the Pathways system before the rollout, and then once rollout happens, they need to choose their path. Once they've chosen their path, then it can be recognized.
Okay.
And since then, I even saw it coming out of Toastmasters International. Yeah, it's you don't even need to worry about whether the VP Ed is okay with it. I don't think any VP Ed would not be okay with it. But yes, it's actually prescribed that you can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Did you have a question?
So on that same note, if I'm delivering a speech in mid-April, I know which path I want to go under. Can I choose the path, the icebreaker, or any other speech along that path, deliver it, get evaluated but not get recognition for it until into May, even as a non-new member? Is that valid?
Based on what they've said about the icebreaker in concept, yes, but in reality, how are you going to know what your project is if you haven't seen what's the path?
Are there not documents available for us to look at the paths?
You
Or
won't-
are we being kept completely blind until May 4th?
Yeah, pretty much. Even the guys and ambassadors do not have access to the content. Like I did mention that I've got a description, but it's just a description. It's not the actual.
So then the icebreaker for the new member, you're saying they can do it in April, but are they going to know the content in April?
Yes, the icebreaker is the exception. They have given that information. And
And is it only one path, or is there of 10 paths?
there are 10 paths.
So the icebreaker, one of 10 paths they can choose?
Yep. All 10 paths require an icebreaker.
Okay, so again, as an existing member, can I deliver an icebreaker in April to get myself on the journey?
Yep. Yep. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that reminded me of something that I wanted to say and didn't, and that is that when you choose your path, you have a 30-day trial, a test drive period. You can drive that path for 30 days, and then as long as you decide within the 30-day period you don't like how it rides, you can give it back and get a different path. If you keep it for more than 30 days, that's your path, that's your free path. You don't get another one under the free terminology. If you take it for 2 months or 3 months, and you know, this isn't really where I want to go, you're going to have to pay for the next one. Okay? Any other questions? Another?
I have about 3 or 4 more, but I want to give other people.
Do we want to break first and get back into the Q&A?
What's the time like right
We
now?
are at 8:05, which is ahead of schedule. We have a break at 8:12.
I'm open anyway. What's up?
And then have a break.
You'd rather...
Yeah, I'd rather continue, and then we'll have a break, so everything can.
Drive right through?
Transition, yeah.
Everybody okay with driving right through? Okay.
Let's do it.
Any other questions before we get back to Wayne? Yes.
I believe that there's another important thing, and you talk about alerting the new member of the program. Most Toastmaster clubs do not induct members formally, which I believe is really important. Secondly, there's a new member orientation program. That is an ideal time to tell your new member the things that they can expect in the program. If you don't orient them to, a stranger walks in and someone says, Madam Toastmaster, what do you mean? You toast bread? Is that what you mean? They have no concept of the offices that are attached. So a new member orientation program, there is a program out of World Headquarters that should be initiated and shared with all new members, and that gives them a better start because now they know what the program is all about. And the final thing is, of course, assigning a mentor, because a mentor can really help in because they're gonna have questions and they can always come back to your mentor.
Very good points that you made there. The orientation, I think a lot of the orientation you will find in the earlier part of the Navigator, but that doesn't mean to say you can just say, here's the Navigator, have fun with it. It's a good idea to have somebody at the elbow so you're working through it together, because people do like to have dialogue back and forth. It's just part of human nature, even if it's somebody who's shy. As far as the induction, I did not know that most clubs don't do an induction.
I didn't say most, I said many
Many,
clubs.
okay. I didn't know that. I know that our club does. We have the induction. Perhaps we're not as diligent on the mentorship as we should be, but we certainly do make the effort. We do induct everybody. And the orientation, when I was VP of Education, I don't know whether you did this, Brad, or not, but when I was VP of Education, I used to do that. What I would do is I would have rather than sit down with each new member one-on-one, I would offer a group orientation session for a half hour so that nobody would need to take any extra time out of the work time. And then I usually did 2 or 3 of those so that everybody, they couldn't match the one because of their break time didn't match. They had the opportunity to the other one. Anyway, good points, Peter, very good points. Yes?
I heard you talk about evaluations earlier and texting them and emailing them. Can you say more about that?
There is actually a tutorial on it, but yes, and because we haven't yet been working with it, all I can go by is what I saw in a tutorial, but they did say that you can, when it comes time for a speech, as is now, the evaluator should know ahead of time who they're evaluating. So either the speaker or the evaluator can print the evaluation form, and they can handwrite their evaluations, and they can give it to the speaker.
Is it free to print that evaluation?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or they can text it, they can email it, and I believe they can deposit it directly into the Basecamp of the speaker as well. Basecamp, maybe to talk a little bit more about Basecamp. Basecamp is not only where you record your progress, but it's also where you can store your information, you can store your evaluations there, and you can give the awards through the Basecamp to other members. The Basecamp manager can do more than all the other members, because some of it is going to be unique and private to the member, and each member can choose how much they want to share. If the evaluation even can be shared with all club members, or it can be restricted to the Basecamp manager and the speaker, or just the speaker.
So that means unlike a regular meeting where the evaluator gives the evaluation to everyone, this is an opportunity where the evaluator does not present the evaluation to the whole club.
No, the spoken evaluation should still be given.
Oh.
Yeah.
But how is it private? How could it be private then?
The written
full
evaluation.
detail, like what you've
Oh.
written down, because you don't express your entire evaluation. generally.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, whatever you have written in your evaluation isn't necessarily what you've spoken. Usually it isn't the same. Sometimes it is, but more often and it's encouraged not to be the same. Because why would you give the speaker the same thing in written form and verbal form? Give them something different. In written form, you can't put your expression into the non-verbal forms of communication. But in the written form, it's something they can refer to in the future and come back to it. Make sense?
Yes, yes.
Did they say who's going to enter it? Like the evaluator? You said the person that gives the speech can also enter it? Is there?
No.
It's
The
gonna be-
person who gives a speech wouldn't enter the evaluation
Oh, it's gonna be-
unless it's given to them in written form.
So it's just kind of whatever
Yeah.
club or even person prefers, I guess. Yeah.
So I could choose to upload my written evaluations if I gave Blaine a piece of paper and said, please evaluate this on paper. If
Mhm.
I wanted to, I can use Basecamp as the storage for all of my evaluations.
Exactly.
And it can be mine only, it can be shared, it can be.
Exactly.
And you can tweak it and give yourself a better.
That's right, A+. Great work, yeah. Thanks.
Yes.
Yesterday, I judged an evaluation contest. There was no suggestions for improvement. If we are weak in evaluation skills, why not incorporate an evaluation workshop to teach people how to give an authentic and an honest evaluation?
We have them now, we have the education side evaluations now, and if that's the case, then that should be delivered to that club, if they're weak on that. Wayne?
Okay, I'm going to put the next two questions together. Under Easy Speak, I did notice there was an icebreaker under the new Pathways program. One of our members delivered, but there was no way to evaluate her under that pathway. So first of all, how do we get an early version of that evaluation form for those jumping in beforehand? Secondly, and this is maybe, do we know if there's going to be further integration of all the paths into Easy Speak? Can you comment on either one of those?
I'll address the second one first,
Okay.
because I was given that question already in another club, and I haven't yet researched the answer. I don't know for a fact. I think it has probably not been integrated. The Pathways has probably not yet been integrated with Easy Speak.
Well, I did see at least the one, the icebreaker.
And that I didn't know because I don't use Easy Speak.
Right, okay.
But I do suspect that is going to happen, that the entire pathway
I
system will
suspect.
eventually. That's my suspicion. I don't know that for a fact.
Okay.
Okay. As far as the first part of the question, I'm not sure.
So people who want to get going early,
They should have an
they
evaluation.
should have,
Absolutely.
and that was one of the issues, is she registered for the new Pathways icebreaker, but there was no evaluation that aligned with it, so.
Did she see the Pathways version of the icebreaker? Did she follow that format?
No, but it was registered that way on Easy Speak, so.
Okay, because that is available on Toastmasters International website right now.
I could just
The-
print out, in the meantime, I could print out, scan a form, print it out, so we, and then have the documentation and can enter it in once it's rolled out.
So the answer, I believe that evaluation is available, but I can't tell you for a fact that it is or where to get it just yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was at a workshop at that date a few weeks ago. There was that, I already forgot the name of that whole day. You were there,
The
Jen.
Learning Center.
Yeah. Anyway, there was a workshop in Easy Speak, and that fellow said it's going to be fully compatible with Pathways.
Good. Going
I think-
to
I think
be.
now.
I would suspect as soon as they roll it out.
I think now.
It might be.
Well, because it's already rolled out in other areas.
Sure, it's been in the system for
Yeah, that's what
14,
the fellow
15
said.
months. But like I say, I don't use Easy Speak, so I'm not too familiar with it. Hearing that is very encouraging. He didn't give a timeline, did he?
I think it's now. I think even if you look at the screen, it says something now.
Okay, because what Blaine's saying is the only thing there that's Pathways is the icebreaker.
I
But maybe
didn't-
that's
I
because
didn't-
it rolled up here.
I didn't dig any deeper, I just noticed when she gave her icebreaker speech, it was under the Pathways program.
Yep.
I didn't know how it got there, I just noticed it was there, I didn't dig any deeper. so-
And it might have to do with rollup. Maybe the full integration doesn't happen until rollup happens. I don't know. But I can find out.
I have a hard time with Easy Speak all the time, so. I don't-
Yeah, hard time speaking easy. That sounds almost like an oxymoron. Any other questions?
Just quickly, do you know why it was delayed, and is it gonna happen again, the rollout, why was it delayed, and?
I don't have a definitive answer, but I have a strong suspicion, and that is that it was, or it is the practice of TI not to roll it out in an area, in regions that are supposed to be getting it until at least 70% of the clubs have had this meeting we're having right now. So we, as guides, register on our component of the site. We register when we have meetings scheduled, and then once the meeting has taken place, we register that has taken place. What Toastmasters International, they will send the guides periodic displays where by district, it'll display 2 bars. 1 bar is how many, what percentage of clubs have been registered, or scheduled rather, and what have been completed. I suspect that we are just below that. It's anticipated by TI that we won't hit the 70% by April 24th. That's what I believe is the reason. I think the last number I saw, which was yesterday, I think it was right around 60%. So it's most likely that we will hit the 70. And it may even be a case of the guides have scheduled their meetings but haven't registered it. So how does TI know, right? All of mine are registered. So it's not me, I'm not the problem. Yeah, that's what I believe is the case. And it is 2 regions. It's region 4, which we are a part of, and I don't remember which other region it is, but both regions have to hit the 70% mark before it'll progress. Okay?
Out of curiosity, why is it not web-based? Did they talk about why they didn't have a web-based program? Why would I have to get a USB? Now we have to manage a USB.
Oh, no, it is web-based, but the USB is just some additional information. On the USB, there is a navigator, there is a new member application form. Let me see.
So this software, the application itself is online. Once I go into Toast, wherever that is, I can register there and I don't actually need the USB. I don't need to do
You don't need it, it's a reference material for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And now I don't know whether it's because I am a guide that I have access to the navigator on the TI system, or if everybody does, but I have seen it already on the TI site.
Thank you.
In fact, let me just,
I think it looks like 4 PDFs, likely early release until you register. Once you're registered in the Pathways, it's on anyways, but it's like an early release. That's what I suspect. I'll share it out.
yeah, I did in my notes, it just says the flash drive has copies of resources your club may need with transition to Pathways, including the new membership application, the navigator, and more.
So more time question and stuff. Okay.
I think it might, in the letter here, it might say one other thing.
Some regions aren't transitioning till next year, you know, so you don't want to have it available to everybody.
It has the Pathways Learning Experience video
Okay.
on it as well. Quick Start Guide is there, which you're going to have a hard copy of here as well. So it's, you know, there are very often many routes to the same destination, so it's probably that USB information should or may, all of it may be available elsewhere, but maybe just in one location.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
So say someone who's trying to get an advanced communication designation like the ACB or advanced communicator silver or gold or something like that. Does completion of one of those pathways, like do you have to complete 2 pathways to get an advanced designation like that in communication? Or?
Okay. Under our traditional system, we got our CC, ACB, ACL, ACG, ACS, and ACG, etc. Those things will not be, you won't see those under the pathway system. Under the pathway system, and I don't remember what it's called, but under the pathway system, once you have completed a path, you'll have some sort of designation for that path.
Oh, right, and the only designation that stays is the DTM.
Exactly.
Okay, right, right.
I had, actually, one of my earlier slides, I think I had on here a comparison of the DTM criteria, or maybe I don't have, it might have been on one of my other slides.
And now it's just kind of a question of those other projects, like we still need to do coaching to get the DTM, and the HPL is my understanding that you also need that to get the DTM, but it might be different.
A version of it, yeah.
Okay, so there's completing the paths, and then there's coaching and HPL, which can get you to the DTM, as well as participating at a district and area level.
Yeah, the DTM under Pathways, some of the criteria is the same, some is similar, and some is different. What's different is we don't have the communication and leadership path, obviously, because they're not there. We do have the requirement for 2 pathways. You need to complete 2 paths for DTM under Pathways.
Oh, that's how long it takes to complete these paths, then like years you think, or?
Well, it's same as with what we have right now. It depends on your motivation and your drive, how long it takes you, because it is self-paced. So if you're really driven, you might be able to finish a path in a year. I don't know.
Okay.
Really, how long it takes, I don't really have a very, very good grip on how long it's going to take, but the criteria is 2 paths. The sponsorship, mentorship, and coaching aspect, that is there. It's a little bit different. Like right now, you need 1, as Peter pointed out earlier, you need 1 for your Advanced Leader Silver. Under the Pathways, I believe you need 2, and 2 specific ones. And I don't remember which ones they are. That's why I was looking for the slide, because the slide had it. But it is 2 specific ones. Your office, club office service, your district service, they're still there. And that might be all, but I don't remember exactly 100%.
Okay.
But I can let you know for sure. I can.
Oh yeah, when it comes out, I'm wondering if maybe those parts are incorporated already in a pathway.
Well, the Pathways version of the HPL, this is something I have, and I should really pose that question to the powers that be. Each path ends with a project. In some of those paths, the project that's described, the heading it's given, matches what the wording of the DTM requirement is, and some of them have a different description of that project. So I don't know if all of them match or if only some of them match. That's something I need to find out.
We'll see. I know, another question, you had said that this started getting rolled out in 2017. Do you guys get any feedback from what people have experienced from it so far, or?
I have a stack approximately this thick, literally, I'm not exaggerating, of questions and answers that have been stored
Okay.
over the past 14, 15 months. I wish they had a better system of identifying and locating. They've got categories of how they organize them, but they're not page numbered. I mean, the pages are numbered, but the index isn't. So you can maybe guess what the question you want to address is. You can maybe guess the category, maybe you can't. Then you go to where you think the category is covered, and it's not a very good system to identify those. I've yet had.
So they haven't really shown how they're like, if they're evaluating it yet or anything, like how it's going for people that have already experienced it.
Well, the feedback on, and that's the whole point of rolling out gradually in different locations. The problems people have had, they've given that feedback to TI, and TI has addressed those problems, modified the program, and then the next rollout has those modifications already integrated.
Okay.
Yeah, so because we are 14 months after the first one started, yeah, they had earlier access to it, but we get the benefit of their trials and tribulations. So we've got, because we're almost at the end of the big picture rollout period, we've probably got as close to the final finished product as we're going to get without being the very, very last one. In fact, we might even have what it's going to end up without any changes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Blaine, have you run out of questions?
They can wait till after. Nothing pressing.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. In that case, I get it is probably time for a break. Madam Postmaster.
A big thank you to Lorenzo for taking the time and effort to come out to this morning club and explain the new Pathways program to us. Even though we've got about 2 years coming to just finish up what we've started, it's always good to get a head start on what's changing. It's a good example of how we can manage this change as well and how I'm going to do it. That said, Madam Timer, may I please have the time?
Sure, it is 8:25.
Okay, so we got about 10 minutes left, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity to give some recognition